Hello there. Today we're hiking the Wilderness Trail at Meramec State Park. The park map shows it at 10 miles and the trailhead at 8.5, so I guess we'll split the difference at 9.25. Meramec State Park is quite large. It's adjacent to the Meramec Natural Area, which is where we'll sleep tonight, and the Meramec Conservation Area, which was developed by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. Between the three areas is a huge tract of wilderness and lots of hiking. This is the first of 8 backcountry campsites. They're all a bit off the trail to provide a little privacy, and I think all but one are next to a water source, next to a stream. I'm kind of curious to see this year if the streams are still running or not, or if you need to pack in water. There's a spring that flows out of a cave about at the halfway point in the trail where I'm going to refill because I expect to be dry camping tonight. But you can see behind me, or we'll go take a look, that there is a stream I expect to be dry. They should all have a man-made fire ring with a grill. I like the rocks here for seating. It's a little lumpy, but yeah, you could probably pitch your tent in a couple of places. Except for that big widowmaker right there. Yeah, and a couple of other widowmakers too, so I'm glad we're not sleeping here tonight. Let's take a look at that stream. Yeah, bone dry, not even a little pool or puddle. I'm planning on a dry camp tonight. Well, I've got a couple of water bottles extra. Probably camp with 3 liters. That'll be enough for dinner, breakfast, and drinking, because it'll probably be afternoon when I fill those up. Alright, let's get back on the trail. We'll check out all 8 of these campsites. I've never been on this trail, so I'm kind of curious to see what it's like. We're walking through a small pine grove now. It smells wonderful. These are shortleaf pines, and some of the largest I've seen. It's the only pine native to the state of Missouri. And if I had a hatchet with all this downed wood, where the limbs join the trunk is where the fat wood is. The very resinous wood, which is an awesome fire starter, even when it's wet. Wow, look at this sinkhole. It's huge and really deep too. A sinkhole occurs when the roof of a cave system collapses. There are over 40 caves in Meramec Park. Alright, we're now leaving the park and entering the natural area. We'll spend the night in this natural area and then hike out of it back into the park tomorrow. It's a beautiful pine cone. I'd love to keep this, but it's too delicate. And I did something really stupid just a minute ago. Saw these beautiful red leaves, reached down to pick them up to take a closer look at them, and then realized It was poison ivy. I had a handful of leaves, so we'll see how this trip goes. You can tell they do prescribed burns here, not just by the charred stumps, but by how open the woods are. This trail has been really overgrown. I imagine this is really difficult in the summer, but I chose this time of year because hopefully no ticks and chiggers. I love a beautiful open woodland. The camera's probably shaky for this, but look where this tree broke off at the top. And it's hanging straight down directly over the center of the trail. All right, here we go. I doubt you'll be able to tell on camera, but kind of in the upper center of the frame, right there, is a cave entrance. It's all covered up with debris from fallen treetops, but you could tell from here, this next kind of ridge over, it's definitely a cave. It looks like it's kind of like one you could pretty much almost walk into. Okay, so here, I love putting my finger in the picture, geez. But somewhere right in that area right there is a small cave entrance, and the trail is actually about to go over the top of that cave where that little rock ledge is. All right, so here we're standing over the top of that small cave entrance. This is the trail. One of the things I really enjoy about this time of year, besides no bugs, is how open the woods are. You can see so much deeper into the woods and across the valleys. It makes the hike so much more scenic. Wow, what an expansive view. This is so beautiful. So this is the first of several glades that this trail will cut through. The trail is a little out and back, and then it goes into a figure eight, a southern loop and a northern loop, with a connector trail to divide those if you just want to do the southern loop. We're on the northern loop now. I think the connector trail saves you 3 to 4 miles if you don't want to do the northern loop. I chose to hike this in a counterclockwise direction. That'll get some of the more rugged areas done on the first day, some of the hillier sections, and that'll give me the last couple of miles of the trail tomorrow is a nice cruisy downhill back to the car, which sounds like I'd rather end that way than start with a 2-mile uphill and then end with the most rugged stuff tomorrow. This is beautiful. Boy, some sections of this trail are really rugged. Pretty, but they're rugged. Well, that's a really pretty valley floor. Nice and open, green and grassy, with a creek running through it, which, is dry, but it's very pretty. That'd be a great place to camp. Here's a better look at that valley floor. I think this is either Cane Hollow or Copper Hollow. Here we are from the trail looking down at the Meramec River. That is beautiful. You never see that in the summer. Hopefully we get up on the edge of a bluff and really get a good view. Here we are from a little bit higher up. We seem to be ascending this hill. It's kind of a bluff for the river. I know this trail doesn't skirt the edge of the river for very long, and then we'll go west away from the river. We're walking through the bottom of a box canyon right now. It's massive. We just came from that direction in the middle of the screen. You can see the huge rock outcroppings through the trees. Look at this beautiful stream. I know we're in Copper Hollow, and I'm hoping this is the outflow from the Copper Hollow Spring, which we'll hike close to, and that's where I plan to replenish my water. There's some watercress in here too. Okay, so this is Copper Hollow Spring flowing out from under that rock. And I will go back to the stream and collect water in a little bit. And to our right, which I'll show you the entrance in just a minute, is Copper Hollow Cave. Now, because of white nose syndrome, no one is allowed to enter any of the caves in the park without a written permit. And if you're caught, it's a $500 fine and ejection from the park permanently. So definitely not something I'm going to do. But it used to be you could enter all the caves in the park, and not really that long ago, 15, 20 years ago maybe, my wife and I explored a few. It was really quite fun. So as you follow the base of this rock to the right from the spring, you'll see this entrance to the cavern. I have no idea how big it is. I'm not going to actually get that close just because I don't want to, break the rules. But it looks like it widens quite a bit and drops steeply down. So this would have been a great cave to explore. having a late lunch as I walk. Really dark. All right, so we just hit, oh, that is in the ground. Backcountry site number 7. Now this is the truth. I just had a black cat, like a house cat, and maybe him in the woods now, cross my path. Just, I haven't made it quite this far down the trail, but maybe another 15 feet down the trail. He came up out of this dry stream bed, crossed the trail, and he was headed for this backcountry site, number 7, which I originally had planned to stay at. I tried to get him, but he freaked out and ran off when I started walking towards him. But that is something I've never had happen in the woods before, especially this far out in the woods. He looked healthy. He wasn't like skinny he looked healthy, so I guess he's making it. We're going to take a look at backcountry site number 7. So what we have now is in the next mile and a half of trail, we're going to have 5 backcountry sites, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And then towards the end of the trail are number 1 and 2. So I'm going to pick one of these 5 right in here. We're past the halfway point now. And, I need to check the time. But I think I have plenty of time to sort of check out all 5. They're all supposed to be next to streams so that you have access to water, but all of the streams, other than the spring, are dry. Oh, and one other stream bed, which probably flowed out of a spring somewhere. So we'll check out this. I'll show you number 7, and then we'll head on down the trail. Okay, so this is site number 7. It's not that far off the trail. It really looks like a choice site. You're down here in the valley bottom. It's pretty level. You've got 2 good places for a tent, and here you've got big enough trees where you could really pitch a couple of hammocks here. That wouldn't be a bad hang. Alright, so site number 7. I'm glad I'm making this video because if I ever come back here again, I'm going to choose the site ahead of time. This one would be great. Now, I will have to say, in the spring when all those streams are flowing, I've crossed a couple dozen maybe, and you're going to be wet. There's just no avoiding it. There's no rock hopping in these streams. Yeah, but it would be so nice to have water right there. All right, let's get back on the trail. Well, it's so overcast. Feels like I only have 10 or 15 minutes of light left, but it's really just a little after 2 o'clock. They said no rain in the forecast. Never trust the weather report. Okay, so we're at site number 6. Every one of these sites has a car site post with the number and a little map, although there's not much left of these maps, showing where you are now, which is that red dot. Where we started was down here, southern loop. We went counterclockwise, northern loop, all the way around to here. We'll check out number 6, and then we've got 3 more options before I decide to call it a day. But, I mean, I should have at least 2.5 hours of daylight left, hopefully. So I should have plenty of time. So getting here is interesting. You've got this steep drop into the creek bottom, and then a short climb out on the other side. If there was water in that would be a mess. Then about another 40-50 feet to the backcountry site. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little tired and lazy, and I'm not going to do it. I can see it's not the one I want to stay at. Back on the trail. And just like that, we're at number 5. You can see these three, 7, 6, 5 are pretty close together. Then I've got a stretch. I hit the next two, which is where I'm going to head to pitch camp. We'll go check out number 5 and then get back to the hike. I tell you though, I am ready to get this pack off. This is the most uncomfortable pack I've ever carried. Wow, this one must be really secluded from the trail. We're about a quarter mile in already and I still don't see it. They have these arrows on trees about every 100 yards or so, I guess to encourage you to keep going. I probably would have turned around if I didn't keep seeing these. We made it. Wow. Bad sight. I mean, it's beautiful, but I've got some of the biggest widowmakers I've ever seen directly overhead. And it's kind of brushy everywhere outside of this area right here. That's too bad. I almost considered this one just because it's so remote. Well, back to the trail. Up almost to the top. It's one long, steep climb. Well, we're still not to the top, but I can see it, and it's not as steep. Get this pack to try and ride on my hips. I tightened it to where I could barely breathe, and it's sitting on top of my pants belt to hold it up, but it's getting the weight off my shoulders a little bit. Okay, we're at the top, and all I can say is thank God for blazes. The leaves are so thick, I have no indication of where the trail is up here. So I'm poking around from one blaze to the next, trying to find it before I get too far away from one, get to the next one. That makes it quite the adventure. These blazes are so far apart. I was praying for this one. When you take a look around, it just all looks the same. So I guess I'll just keep on walking, and keep on praying. This way looks sort of right, doesn't it? Maybe I need to start looking behind me every once in a while. It's encouraging. So the blaze is tilted. Go left, not straight. Praise God. It looks like we're on an old road, old forest road or something like that. Yeah. Can you believe we're still going uphill? Hopefully it means it's all downhill tomorrow. All right, number 4. So it's either number 4 or number 3. That's as far as I can make it before dark. We'll find out if this one's good or not. Okay. Okay, right from the get-go, there was no obvious trail, no blazes. Sure, it's here somewhere. All right, I'm gonna head back to the trail before I get so far away from it I can't find it again. Let's hope for number 3. Crazy. All right, so the carcinite post for number 4 is behind the camera. And you see how white this area is where the tree fell, where it split? Well, that was my marker as I was in the woods. As long as I knew I could turn around and locate that, I could get back to the trail. I'm glad because I wasn't quite sure even with this. All right, site number 3. This is it. Let's hope I can find it. There's a good place to pitch camp. If not, I'll pitch camp on the trail. It sure wouldn't be the first time. It's in a pine forest. This is perfect. Man, I couldn't be happier. Time to get this off. Oh, and pitch camp. All right, so I've got my tent mostly pitched, but the ground is so hard, I cannot get a stake in the ground. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's really going to kill my ventilation and probably build up condensation. We're going to be down, well, around freezing actually tonight, so condensation is a concern. I'm going to have to figure out something for ventilation there. Not my first time to use any of this gear except for the backpack, and I just have to say, going to go on a short rant. That is my first and probably my last time to ever use that pack. I could not get the hip belt to sit on top of my hips, which threw all the weight on my shoulders for the entire hike, and it's just not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to really carry the weight on your hips and not your shoulders, and I'm really feeling it right now at the end of the day. So I'll play around with it sometime in the morning probably and see if I can make any adjustments. I know there's a torso adjustment, and hopefully that's going to do it. If not, I'm going to be looking for somebody to donate that pack to. All right, back to figuring out this tent. I'll finish setting up and get back to you when it's dinner time. All right, camp is pitched. That's the best part of the night when you know you've got nothing to do but eat and relax afterwards. I want to talk about this gorgeous spot that I'm camping in tonight. So I'm right on the edge of a pine forest. I had to walk through it to get to the campsite. So to my sides and all behind me are shortleaf pines. It smells beautiful, and I love a pine forest. Directly behind the camera, and I'll turn the camera around here in a second, is an oak forest. So we have a bit of intermingling, but almost a clean line of division between the oak forest and the pine forest. It is really cool. But the pine forest doesn't look like it was planted. It's really kind of random where the trees are. Then we have the fire pit with the grill, some logs to sit on, and my tent right over here, right on the line between the two forests. So here we have the tent. Definitely a one-man. It's tough to kind of squeeze my gear in there. And beautiful rock to cook dinner on. Dinner tonight is a 3-bean chili mac. Good thing I'm sleeping by myself in the woods tonight. It's going to be beautiful. It's overcast, so I really won't get to see any stars. We're supposed to be around 31, 32 degrees tonight. It's going to be cozy. It's 4:30, almost completely dark. It's going to be there before 5 for sure. And I brought a really good book my wife gave me to read. I'm looking forward to it. And that's kind of it. I'll get back with you when it's time for dinner. Alright, water's boiling. 3-bean chili mac. Sounds good. Never had it. So you're supposed to measure 1 1/3 cup of water. Boil it. Throw it in the bag, stir it, close it, wait 10 minutes, open it, stir it again. Don't forget to take the oxygen absorber out first, and then eat. How do you measure 1 1/3 cup? I'm backpacking. I'm not bringing measuring cups with me. So it's either going to be soupy or maybe not fully hydrated. I don't know. It's an experiment. We'll find out. I'll get back to you in a little bit. Oh, before I go, I had to put my base layer on. It's that cold out here already. I almost didn't bring it. In fact, I almost didn't bring any extra clothes at all. Yesterday it was 81 and sunny, and the low last night got down to 42, which is colder than it has been lately. And then today it got to a high of 61, the low tonight of 31, high tomorrow in the 50s, low tomorrow night around 31 again. So you never know what your weather's going to be around here. I'm really glad I brought my base layer with me. So I've got a sweatshirt, well, I've got 3 shirts, 2 pair of pants, wool socks, and a cap, and it's boiling. Wow, that was fast. I doubt that was 3 minutes. All right, time to make dinner. All right, dinner time. This looks good. Really good. Smells good too. A couple of things I wish I had. A chair. Maybe like a tiny table. Well, the rock does pretty good for that. But a chair, that would definitely be nice. Something to put on the list for next time. Chow time. Peak Refuel, they make good meals. Okay, so trying to figure this out. I don't have a lantern, that's really what I need. Got this headlight. It's pitch black. Not even 6 o'clock yet. But all I have to do now is read until I fall asleep. So that's what I'm going to do. See you in the morning. Good night. Morning. That was a good night. I slept till about 6 o'clock, which is late for me. Of course, toss it turned all night, but I do that at home. With these crisp, dry leaves out here, even a chipmunk will wake you up, though. The squirrels were active last night, and somewhere in the middle of the night, I heard a noise that sounded like a puppy barking. You know, you ever hear that? And it was really close and loud. I have no idea what that was. That was a first for me. But it's a good night. I'm gonna get coffee on, pack up camp, and we'll get back on the trail. All right, so I adjusted the torso length on this pack, which is a really nice feature to have on a backpack, an adjustable torso length. By about, shortened it by about 2 inches. All right, there's no weight in this pack right now, but it is riding on top of my hips. So I've got I don't know, 2-3 miles left on this trail. We'll see what it's like. I'm gonna laugh if I went through the entire day yesterday with all that pain in my shoulders just because I didn't think to adjust the torso length. Heating up water for coffee. Biscuits and gravy for breakfast. It's hydrating now. I'll get back to you when it's time to start the hike. I just wanted to get a shot of the sun coming up through the pines. Maybe I love the pines so much because they're rare in this part of the country. We're predominantly oak hickory. And these pine forests, when you stumble across them, are just, they're just beautiful. Okay, I'm well fed, well caffeinated, and camp's all packed up. You can't even see where the tent was. Nobody will know I was here, except for moving the rock that I used to cook on or as a little table. That's it. Let's talk about this campsite. Site number 3, I love it. It's probably one of the prettiest places I've camped in a long, long time. As far as the pros, I mean, you've got this pine forest, which is rare for the Ozarks, and it smells great. You do have the oaks on the other side. It's really remote and private from the trail. It's about a quarter to a half mile off the trail. I'm a little leery about trying to find my way back to the trail. It was getting dark when I found this camp last night, and with just the amount of leaves on the ground. This is a really easy trail, and getting to these campsites would be easy to find too if it wasn't for just the freshly fallen leaves. We've got 8 or 9 inches of leaves on the ground, and it makes it difficult to tell where anything is. When you're walking on the trail, like sometimes you get in a washed out area and you're putting your foot down and you don't know how deep you're going to go and where the rocks are, so it's kind of an ankle twister in some parts of the trail, but only because of the leaves. I love this trail. I'm having a great time. I'm going to be back. Cons. The cons are going to be that you're close to Interstate 44, which is the old Route 66 for any fans of that. At this campsite, you are. I didn't really hear the road noise until I got to this site. We're up on top of a hill, and I could tell it's off in the distance towards the northwest from here, not too far. Now, I did hear the road noise all night long, but you know, in a way that was also a pro because it provided that sort of white noise for sleeping, kind of drowned out some of the animals scurrying around in the leaves. And so let's take that as a pro or a con. That's up to you. I imagine too, because here we are, you know, on a really cold day, we had really low overhanging clouds. And although we don't know, we have a clear sky now, and I still hear the noise. So we must just be that close to the interstate. I didn't mind it. You know, it's not like that peaceful quiet that you probably are getting to the woods to get, though. So keep that in mind. This is a dry camp. This is, as far as I can tell by the map, the only one that's not next to a stream. So prep for that. I had 3 liters of water, and that got me through the afternoon. Dinner, breakfast, coffee, and still got maybe a half liter of water for the hike back in case I don't find any more. It's only 2 or 3 miles. We're going to be good. And that's it for this camp. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and now I get to see the rest of the trail and the last 2 backcountry sites. I'm curious to see what they look like. They're really close to the trailhead, so if you decide you want to just get out for a quick evening in the woods, I imagine these 2 sites might be the ones to check out. Let's get hiking. Okay, we're back to the trail, back to our Carsonite post for Site 3. Here's our map. The red dot is where we are at Site 3. We're going in a counterclockwise direction. We're still north of this road, which is the Highway 185 spur. We'll end up crossing that. From what I've read, this is my first time on the trail, we have an easy downhill towards the end. I'm not certain of that. Our last 2 campsites are right here, close to where the trail splits off the little tail piece, that little out and back to start it at the trailhead, which is right here. So I'm not certain how many miles we have looking at this map and just kind of gauging it. I'm going to guess 3. It's not bad. So here we go. Okay, so we started in a beautiful pine forest, which I could still see a bit of behind me. and we're about to enter a beautiful oak forest with the morning sun coming up over the tops of the trees. It's absolutely gorgeous. Man, I could just sit here and watch the sun come up through the forest. But onward we go. Okay, so here we are at the intersection with the shortcut connector. The long way shortcut connection. The number 2 is on several trees. We're also in a small pine grove as well. What an awesome trail. Can't believe I've missed out on it all these years. I've been in this valley bottom for a while. Nice and easy. Oh, what a beautiful morning. It is. Cruisy, cruisy. Wow, this is a beautiful feature. It'd be really great when the water's flowing. Okay, I'm going to put my finger in the picture again. You can see right here how the rock stair steps down and ledges into this deep pool. There's actually a bit of water in it still, but you can see all the debris, so you can see where the high water mark is, and farther upstream are several other ledges. So it'd be just a series of waterfalls and pools, and we hike right along beside that. Now, this would be gorgeous in the spring. Of course, this would be a wet walk across the creek in the spring too, so pros and cons. Well, I'm currently facing the hiker's dilemma. I'm currently quite warm, a little sweaty even. 3 layers up top, 2 on the bottom, wool socks. Much needed when I started this morning. Always start your hike with being dressed about where you think your body temp is going to be 15 minutes into your hike, which I thought I was, but this day is warming up quite fast. But I'm only a couple of hours from the car. So do I go to the trouble of stripping down here on the trail, just throwing on 1 layer, trying to shove the rest of the clothes into an already overstuffed backpack? Or do I just let my natural tendency towards laziness make the decision for me? Yeah, that's the one. Well, I broke down. I had to do it. Took the 2 shirts off, lashed them to the top and back of the pack. The pants are going to have to stay because that's just a little too much effort. But man, it's so much better now. Whew. Hi there. We just found our fourth cave on the trail. Of course, it has a sign saying it's closed, need a written permit, yada yada. I have to say, that would be a tough one. You could belly crawl into it. I don't know what it's like after the entrance, but that one would be a tight squeeze. Okay, so here is our fifth cave, right there. Another one you'd have to crawl into, and then it drops steeply down as soon as you get in there. Looks a little sketchy. For the past half, 3/4 of a mile, we were skirting this stream that actually had water and some very deep, crystal clear pools, and it was beautiful. I figure it's all these little caves, probably mean there are quite a few little springs in this area. So hopefully this is kind of a chance to get water year round if you need it. This small pool, kind of just downhill from the cave we just looked at, is full of minnows and water striders. That's always a sign of pure water. Okay, we've just come upon site number 2. I would like to show you the post, and there are flags all over the trees on this, but you're staring directly into the sun. My camera won't be able to really deal with that. So let's go down and take a look at the site. Alright, so you do have a creek crossing to get to it, but there's a deep pool of water right here. Yeah, I'd say at least 2 feet deep. It's crystal clear. This one's one to keep in mind. This is really nice. Nice and flat. Log to sit on. It's had quite a bit of use. This area over here is grassy, leafy. 4 to 5 tents, small tents in this area. Good trees for a hang. I recommend site number 2. It's close to the trailhead, but if you're not filming, you can make a lot more miles in a day than I can, so you could still go counterclockwise and make this in a day too. All right, back to the trail. Boy, there are a lot of water crossings on this trail. It's not so cruisy anymore. All right, we're at site number 1. We'll go check this out. I took my pack off to go back for the camera. That stream crossing is maybe 30 feet from here. It's really close. So I'll keep it off as long as I can. It's just sitting against a log on the side of the trail. Let's go check this out. This isn't bad. A little overgrown. Sits in between 2 streams, which are both dry. Somebody left some firewood, that's nice. You can tell there's an established path down to the stream, so maybe it has water in it most of the year. Okay, not bad. I wanted to tell you about my pack. I've been reevaluating that today. I made every adjustment you can make multiple times yesterday trying to get the weight off my shoulders, and I just couldn't get it there. So, you know, when I took the pack off at camp last night, I discovered that it had that torso adjustment, which I'd forgotten about. Thought I had it dialed in. So I lowered it 2 inches to shorten the torso. And it's been carrying a lot better today. It may be a pack that I'll keep. Let's finish this trail. Well, I have to say, this is definitely my favorite trail in the park. There are a handful of short trails throughout the park. Like all of them, I think, are under a mile. And almost all of them go by large cave entrances. Some of them are quite large. So we'll be back and look at the rest of the park then. Well, we're back to the rental cabins, which means we're almost back to the trailhead. So I'll go ahead and say goodbye now. I hope you enjoyed our time together. Please join me for future adventures. Bye-bye.